YouTube, good morning. Here on my usual morning walk, weighted vest, 45 pounds. Want to throw a quick reflection to you guys as I'm finishing it up. Usually put on the flashlight, but kind of hurts my eyes, especially at night. Well, we wake up before 5, so, before everybody, and there's still not sun outside. So, I want to talk about essentially something that I was reflecting on. Crazy video as well yesterday that is on the channel. You guys can check that out. But essentially, the importance of your conscience and trusting that, because that is essentially the map you should be following, and the map of your soul. And it's something that I never valued, or not many people value when they are on this journey of life. Because I mentioned in my Instagram story, you guys can follow there on, I'm gonna put the description below, but the map's already laid out. Everything's already written in terms of how your life is gonna go. You can choose to accept that or not. The ego wants to create its own map, its own story, its own plan, and wants to get you chasing things and thinking of control. But ultimately, the control lies in where you don't see God. And the most important thing is realizing that the map to follow in order to get to where you're supposed to be, because the plans that He has for you are much bigger than any plans you can create, because they're plans of total abundance, of peace, joy, love, and the highest frequencies, because God is the highest frequency. He's enlightenment. He's giving without expecting anything back or in return. I'm gonna sit here and record this, and He's essentially the one that's going to get you to where you're supposed to be in this life. It's never following the ego, following your desires. These are all things of this world. Thinking as well is the thing I mentioned with a friend yesterday. Thinking is something that people tell you to do more of. You have to think more, think about what you want, think this, think that. Thinking is what slows you down. Thinking is what lowers your frequency, and thinking is what disconnects you from God, because God is spirit. Thinking is flesh. Thinking is your mind. Thinking is your body. If you think too much, you start to get stresses. You start to affect the way you function. You start to bring ailments and things to your body, because it's all of the body of this earth. When you're in spirit, it's something you can't see. It's something you trust fully. It's, like I said, enlightenment, love. It's your inner child, and all the things that you start to lose as you were growing up. I mentioned this as well to a friend, because we're talking about basically kids, and she's a mother as well, and I mentioned that kids are the perfect creation of God, and adults are the perfect creation of the devil. Because if you look at a kid, a newborn child, or even a kid under the age of maybe 5, they're pure spirit. There's you look at a kid, you can't have a bad day after spending time with a kid. They put you into spirit, because they simply live from spirit. They don't understand what fear is, they don't understand what thinking is, or analyzing, or planning. They simply go, wake up each day, are grateful. You can tell a kid, we're going here. They don't think about it or fuss about it. They don't have to think and plan and get in their head. Kids are simply spirit. Especially a newborn child is the most pure thing in the world. If you look at a baby and you hold the baby, it's not thinking, it's not in its head, it's simply just operating the way it's supposed to. But then with time, it's programming the people around it, because obviously kids don't have the conscious mind, they have only a subconscious. So they're being programmed every second. They're like sponges. But depending on their programming, some kids get more fear. They just add fear on top of that, and the world adds fear as well. It's not even their environment. So when they go into the public and people say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, and everyone's simply just in their head thinking. If you go on a bus or an elevator, everyone doesn't talk, they're just in their head thinking. Well, it depends on which country. In Canada, US, or the West, people don't talk when they're in elevators. They're simply in their head thinking. But in different countries, South America, different continents, Europe, some people speak. So it's really dependent on the culture, but it's understanding that you are being programmed to not connect. The new one that disconnects you as well, I made a video about this, is ChatGPT, and that's just getting you more in your head and thinking you have the answers, and thinking this and thinking that. And it's when you begin to remove that habit you have, because it's a habit of thinking. It's a habit of thinking you have control. Like I said, the only one that has control is the one above. When you begin to listen and put faith in that and not have fear because you want to control this and that, is when your life really begins to take a turn. And that is the message I want to give. Obviously my coach, Mike, my mentor, is the one who got me in that place, because I was doing all the right things with the habits, but I was still in my head, still overthinking, still wanting to control things, or how this happened or that happened, or how it was received, or my message, and like always overthinking and over planning, and adding things as opposed to removing things. Removing and letting go are the things that actually help your life to move forward, because like I said, the person that grows the fastest is the one that thinks the least. If you look at any person, they always talk about being in flow, days passing like they're minutes, because they're not thinking, they're not trying to control everything around them. They're just letting things flow and operating from spirit, and that is where they're able to really ascend and transcend anything that they thought before. So the one thing that can get you in that place is simply letting go of any control you have right now. If you're a person that's very in control and thinks you have to control everything, it's time to unprogram that and remove things that you're doing, habits that you have that you want to control. Maybe you're writing things down too much. If you're on ChatGPT, remove that shit. That gets you more in your head, doesn't help you to operate from spirit. Smartwatch is the one thing I mentioned in my other video. Removing that, smartwatch has been the best thing, because anything that makes you think and get in your head is something you have to remove. So anything external that makes you do that is one thing you have to remove. And then from there, it's the way you think. If you think about something too much, or you have thoughts about this situation or that situation, it's removing and letting go and faith. Because like I said, fear is thinking, fear is control, and fear is thinking or having this thought or idea in your head that you can control every single thing, and it's not possible. It's something that is designed to lower your frequency. Anyone that's in their head can't raise their frequency. Frequency is something you can't think about, you can't grasp. It's energy, and when you think less, are not in your head, you understand and feel better, because the whole thing is feeling better, not thinking more. When you feel better, you have that internal state as a consequence of the habits you're doing. So it's not chasing feeling good with drugs and vices like the world tells you, or buying things. It's feeling good as a result of your habits. So going to the gym, eating well, waking up on time, tracking your macros, staying away from vices, educating yourself, investing in yourself. These are things that are releasing fears, removing fears from your life. And the whole game is removing fears, and the more fear you remove, the more you grow, and that as turn grows your frequency. So removing fears will grow your frequency, and more you think, the more you generate fear, because fear is simply coming from your mind. It's something that you create, a story you create as a result of you getting in your head and thinking and creating something out of nothing. The same thing as ego is creating something out of nothing, a story of that you're able to control, or you have this it's like identity you have in your head that you think is real, and you work. It's like putting small deposits into your ego in terms of like, oh, I'm going to start doing this, or like trying to show off, doing things for validation. That simply feeds your ego, and that's simply where the devil lies. So that is a life that will get you nowhere very, very fast. I've lived that life. First starting my journey where I was doing pickup with women, and eventually getting into lust. And lust is simply your ego. It's how many women can I be with, what can I brag about. I was documenting things simply to show it online and put it on social media, and that was something that was, you don't see it in the moment. Even if you're watching this right now and you're an ego, you never see it, because it's the devil having you think about everything and how to feed this identity that's not real. And anything that comes from the one above, from God, and that is the most real, it will not prevent you from seeing, because your ego cannot respond to God. It rejects it. It's like something that can't sit well with it, because it closes your heart. The more you're an ego, the more your heart is closed, and that unfortunately is the way it is. And it's something that closes you off to the one true thing in this life, which is God trying to guide you towards the map he gave you when you were born, the plan he gave you there, which was following your spirit, like a child does. But eventually the world which is lives for the devil, if you haven't noticed already. Just simply distractions and things that disconnect you. Are going to try to disconnect you from your spirit. So very few people, I would say less than 5%, live spiritually, operate spiritually. Everyone else is trying to, think about how to get ahead. Oh, like, what do I do? What's the method to be more productive, or, being healthier, and, always in their head thinking of something to add or something to do. It's the things to remove and that you let go of that give you the most growth. Just want to end the video with, because you have to stop thinking about what to add. It's not what to add. You have enough stuff on your plate already. It's, enough things that are preventing you from growing. Even resentment you have inside and things that you think about that you haven't healed from are big things as well. Separate video. But you have to begin to remove and let go, not add more things, especially if you're older in age. If you're younger, you can maybe add some good habits and stuff like that. But as you get older, it's about removing the things that you've let be programmed into you by society. And that is how you can simply, begin to grow and raise your frequency. If you want to see more of how I speak about this, live that lifestyle of removing day to day, it's on my Instagram. There's other videos in the past as well of things that are removed, and you can just go through the free content, learn how to really live the art of living, and join the new 0.01%, because the lifestyle that I live and my coach lives, my two coaches, and I don't know anybody else, to be honest, because it's about obeying the power that you don't see. That's the new 0.01%. People want to live a lifestyle, they live it for a bit, they do some good habits here and there, they start to get motivated, and then lose motivation because they're not with the person that is trying to give them the map. So it's the most important thing, and that's the thing that's going to get you ahead. So want to leave the video off with that. If you want to comment below where you're at with thinking, things that are maybe in your head about that we can speak about on the channel, and want to give people some insight in terms of what you remove that helps you grow, please put that down below. And you can subscribe as well if you like the content. More things coming. Like the video if you got some value, and we're going to continue this walk, continue with our day. I started Monday morning and I started before everybody else, and let's go, keep pushing, and as always, until next time, keep killing it.